Okay, Assalamualaikum. So this shall be the third topic that we're going to cover, which is titled Accounting Classifications and Accounting Equations. Okay, so before we can begin on our accounting equation, we need to know what are the classifications of item under the accounting transactions. Okay, we have several terms that you need to understand in order for you to be able to do accounting transaction. First of all is assets. So what are assets? Assets are anything that owned by the business. For in this case, if the business is the sole proprietorship, then all asset, all properties, all items that are owned by the owner. Okay, so we can classify the asset into two types, which are the non-current asset and the current assets. So non-current asset refers to all items that has life more than 1 year, meaning that we can use that items for more than 1 year. For example, building, cars, office equipment, yeah, things that we can use for the purpose of generating sales more than 1 year. So for non-current asset, we can further reclassify or recategorize the asset, the non-current asset, into three types, which are the tangible non-current asset, intangible non-current asset, and investments. Okay, so tangible non-current asset are the long-term asset or asset which has life more than 1 year that we can see and we can touch. So there are physical appearances of those assets. Okay, for example, like buildings, machineries, motor vehicles, land, office equipment, um, lands, printer, table, chairs, and all the stuff. Those that we can see and touch. But for the intangible asset, intangible non-current asset, those are the asset that we owned but they don't have any physical appearances, such as patent, trademarks, goodwill, copyrights. Okay, for example, let's say that the only one of the reason why your product are being sold as compared to your competitors' product is because you have your own trademark that makes the customer go to your product. So we call that as a intangible non-current assets. And then the third type is the investment. So investment ataupun dengan kata lainnya pelaburan is the money that an organization placed in another business organization in hope of getting monetary gain. Meaning that they are hoping to gain some sort of interest income or dividend income from the amount of the money that they invested in other organization. Okay, for example, like fixed deposit. Okay, fixed deposit, we put money into the bank, into a fixed deposit account in the hope that every year we get a certain amount of interest income. Okay, and then the second type of assets are the current asset. So current asset are assets that are cash, yeah, or any asset that can be converted into cash within 1 year. Okay, so basically current asset are cash tunai. Tunai yang kita ada tu lah cash, or maybe cash at bank. Ya, tunai yang kita ada tapi bukan di tangan, it's not in hand, but at bank. Tapi kita dah ada dalam duit dalam bank account kita lah. Or ataupun or any asset that can be converted into cash within 1 year. Okay, for example, like here they give you example of inventory or stock. So what is inventory or stock? Inventory are the item that we purchase from supplier because we want to sell back to the customer at a markup price. Okay, kalau saya beli aset tu untuk kegunaan bisnes, contohnya saya beli machinery ni, tapi saya tak jual kepada customer, instead saya beli machinery untuk saya guna machinery tu dalam syarikat saya untuk menghasilkan jualan. Okay, then it is not considered to be a current asset or a stock, ya. It's considered to be a non-current asset. Tapi kalau saya beli mesin, saya ni syarikat yang menjual mesin. I purchase the machine for the purpose to resell back to the customer, then it is not under non-current asset, tapi mesin tu di bawah inventory, ya. Barang yang kita beli untuk kita jual semula. Those are what we call as inventory or stock. So inventory can be converted into cash within 1 year. We must sell off our inventory to generate sales. Okay, and then we also have what we call as account receivable or debtors. Account receivable are the customer who purchase inventory from us, but they pay us later. Dia ambil barang dulu, dia bayar kemudian. So dalam tempoh dia tak bayar tu, kita consider the customer to be as debtors. Cash in hand, cash at bank, prepaid expenses and accrued revenue. So ini kita akan belajar nantilah bila kita buat adjustment nanti, ya. The second type of account classification is liabilities. Yeah, liabilities that are funds supplied by third parties. So basically, when we purchase an asset, let's say we want to purchase a machinery of 10,000 ringgit, katakanlah. So nak beli mesin 10,000 ringgit. So where can I get the money to purchase that machine? Okay, mana saya nak dapat duit nak beli mesin 10,000 ringgit tu? So sumber kewangan saya, my source of fund, can either come from two places. Okay, boleh datang pada dua tempat sahaja. It can either come from our own money, duit saya sendiri, okay, or I can get the money from a third party suppliers, yeah, bank ke, finance house ke. Okay, so kalau kita pinjam duit daripada orang ketiga, pada pihak ketiga, if I borrow money from the third party, then all the money that I receive from them is considered to be as liability, yeah, because it is an obligation for us to pay them back. Kita ada kewajipan untuk membayar mereka semula. So we call that as a liability, ya. Tanggungan lah, dalam bahasa Melayu tanggungan. So just like I said, we can classify the liability into two types, which are the non-current liabilities and current liabilities. So non-current liabilities are all liability that to be repaid within not within 1 year. Okay, also known as a long-term liability, such as 5-year loan ke 10-year loans ke, or perhaps we have mortgage on our building and land, so kita pajakkan kita punya aset untuk mendapatkan pinjaman, or perhaps that you have issued debenture or bonds, ya. Tapi debenture and bonds ni hanya untuk syarikat sahajalah. Ya, sole proprietorship tidak ada debenture or bond. So if you are sole proprietorship, your liability may consist of long-term loans or mortgage. And then for current liabilities are all liability that are to be repaid within 1 year. Hutang yang jangka masa pendek yang kita kena bayar balik dalam masa setahun. For example, like short term loan, ya, 3 bulan pinjaman, 6 bulan pinjaman, 9 bulan pinjaman. Okay. Bank overdraft, this is happen when remember your cash at bank tadi, saya cakap kat awak tu, duit dalam bank kita. Okay. If you open a current account, kan kalau pergi bank ada dua jenis simpanan kan, simpanan tetap ataupun simpanan semasa kan. Kalau kita buka akaun semasa tu, bank akan bagi perkhidmatan overdraft pada kita lah. Meaning dia katakanlah baki bank kita dalam akaun kita cuma dari 1,000 sahaja. So tapi katakanlah saya tulis cek, saya tulis cek 1,500. So bank akan still honor that check. Dia akan still bayar orang ketiga harga 1,500. Cuma 500 tu akan jadi bank overdraft because you have overdrawn your money from your bank account. Kita dah terlebih keluar duit kita dalam bank. So it's considered to be a liability. Okay, account payables, ya, ni creditor. Maksudnya kata saya beli supplier, business purchase inventory from supplier, and then we pay the supplier later. Kita ambil barang dulu, kita bayar kemudian kepada supplier. So supplier tu kita punya creditors. Kita punya account payable, kita berhutang kepada creditors. Prepaid revenue and accrued expenses. Nanti kita akan tengoklah apa itu prepaid revenue dengan accrued expenses. Okay. Another source of fund, just now I told you, kita boleh pinjam daripada orang ketiga ataupun kita guna duit sendiri. So duit sendiri represent by the terms owner equity. Capital or money contributed by the owner. Capital dalam bahasa Melayu adalah modal lah. or money contributed by the owner. So ada dua jenis kategori yang awak kena tahu di bawah owner's equity. Satu adalah capital modal, kedua adalah profit or loss, ya. Second is profit or loss. So capital is referring to all form of sources contributed by the owner to be injected into the business. It can be in form of money, cash. It can be in form of assets, such as, let's say, the owner has their own personal computer. They want to transfer their personal computer into the business computer. It is also considered to be a form of capital contribution. Or motor vehicle, or you have an extra building that you want to contribute to your own business, is all considered to be as capital. And just as the owner can contribute their own money into the business, they can also take out the money that they have given to the business. So any withdrawal or any takebacks from the owner, dia ambil balik duit dia tu, we call that as drawing. So drawing, atau bahasa Melayunya ambilan lah. So drawing means that the owner take back the money that they have contributed earlier on into the business. So drawing will reduce capital. Awak dah masuk sekarang 10,000 dalam syarikat awak buat keluar 1,000. So 1,000 tu drawing lah. So drawing akan mengurangkan 10,000. Jadi sekarang baki contribution awak kepada syarikat cuma tinggal 9,000 sahaja. And then for sole proprietorship, if you recall your chapter 1, if the business generate any profit, all of the profit belongs to the owners. All of the profit belongs to the owners. Okay, so profit represent an increase in the owner equity. So lagi banyak awak profit, lagi tinggilah, lagi banyaklah awak punya owner equity, ya. So business make a profit when revenue is more than the expenses. Bila jualan awak, hasil awak melebihi belanja, so you are making a profit. Okay, kalau expense is more than the revenue, then the business is generating loss, which will decrease our owner's equity. Okay, so let's take a look deeper into profit. Okay, so what is profit? Profit is the difference between revenues and expenses. Okay, so what is revenue? Revenue represents gross increase in owner's equity resulting from business activity generated for the purpose of earning income. Ya, katakanlah awak dah beli bangunan, awak dah beli mesin. So daripada mesin tu awak menghasilkan barang-barang yang awak jual lah. You generate something that you can use to sell to your customer. Okay, so segala yang awak dapat hasil daripada aktiviti bisnes awak tu, we call that as a revenue. It can be in form of the sales of inventory. Bila kita jual stok kita, itu dikira sebagai jualan lah, atau dikira sebagai revenue. Ataupun kata awak melabur, remember that the fixed deposit that you have invested in your non-current asset tadi, kan dapat interest income. Awak melabur dalam fixed deposit, dapat interest income 10%. So it's also considered to be as revenue. Okay, or maybe that you have take up, ada orang minta tolong awak jual barang-barang dia orang, kan? Boleh, kita boleh terima commission daripada orang lain, especially bila ada orang tu cakap, tolonglah jualkan barang saya, kan? So we receive some sort of commission, which is also considered to be as revenue. Kalau expenses pula represent costs of asset consumed or services used in the process of generating and earnings revenue. Okay, ini maksud segala kos yang awak incur untuk menghasilkan jualan, tetapi tidak boleh long term benefit lah. Katakanlah kos yang awak incur tu, awak incur kos untuk beli mesin. Mesin tu adalah long term benefit, so dia bukan di bawah expense, dia di bawah asset. Tapi kalau kita incur expense untuk dapatkan jualan, tapi dia punya benefit tahun tu sahaja. Contohnya, saya bayar sewa. Saya bayar sewa bangunan. So next year kena bayar sewa lain. So sewa yang saya bayar untuk tahun ni hanya untuk short term benefit sahaja dalam tahun itu sahaja. So we consider that the payment of rental to be as an expense. Kalau saya incur cost untuk beli mesin tu boleh pakai 10 tahun, itu tidak dikira sebagai expense, itu dikira sebagai asset. Okay, contoh lain adalah purchase of inventory. Bila saya beli inventory daripada supplier dengan niat nak jual semula pada customer, is a short term benefits. So we consider that to be as expense. Bayar gaji pekerja, ya, salary, if you pay for interest expense, if you borrow from bank, you have to pay some sort of interest to banks, right? And then next month you have to pay again. You have to pay again. So itu adalah short term benefit. So we all consider them to be an expense. Okay, utility expense. Okay. So why do I emphasize on the revenue and expense? Is because I want you to look at the accounting for inventory ataupun stock lah. Okay. Because if you still recall, in the previous slide, saya cakap non-current asset ada cash at hand, cash at bank, ada accounts receivable, kemudian ada inventory kan. Kan saya cakap inventory di bawah current asset. Okay. Katakanlah saya beli inventory. So you are a business organisation. Okay, you want to purchase inventory. Sebab nak jual semula pada customer ni kan. So I purchase inventory for my supplier. Okay, bila saya purchase inventory, dia tidak akan menaikkan current asset inventory saya. Tetapi dia akan menaikkan expense saya. Yeah, because this is a for short benefit. Saya beli stock untuk jual semula next month ke next 2 months ke. I want to sell back within 1 year. So this is for short term benefit. So saya tak boleh kata saya beli stock tu naik increase asset stock. Tak boleh. Dia kena increase purchases. So bila ada transaction the company purchase stock, so awak kena increase dekat expense. Jangan increase dekat asset. Okay. Samalah bila awak jual stok awak ni. Bila jual stok awak cakap stok dah terjual, maksudnya aset berkurang lah. Tak. Bila saya jual aset, saya menaikkan revenue saya. So it should be increase revenue. Increase revenue ya, bukannya reduce asset. Inventory, bukan. Dia mesti menaikkan kita punya revenue. Okay. The same goes when we return back the supplier, the inventory that we purchase. Kan saya beli barang tu tak sama apa yang saya nak pulang balik dekat customer, dekat supplier. So we call that as a purchase return, pulangan belian. So bila purchase return, dia akan mengurangkan belanja saya. Ya, contohnya saya beli RM1,000 dekat purchases, saya pulang RM100. So 100 ni akan mengurangkan nilai purchases saya. So sekarang purchase saya dalam record ni cuma tinggal RM900. So bila dia reduce purchase, dia reduce expense, dia reducekan purchase expense. That's why kita kata reduce expense. Samalah bila kita jual stok kepada customer pulang balik barang rosak ke apa ke. Ya, bila ada pulangan jualan, sales return, dia akan mengurangkan jualan yang tadi kita dah jual pada customer. Kata saya jual RM1,000, customer pulangkan RM200. Jadi jualan kita record dalam bisnes kita cumalah RM800. Okay. So ni penting ya sebab nanti kita nak buat accounting equation. Alright. So accounting equation, kita start dengan yang ni dulu. Just like I told you earlier on, whenever that we want to purchase an asset, where can we get the money to purchase the asset? Nak beli asset machinery RM10,000 contohnya. Kan? Mana datang duit nak beli RM10,000 asset ni? Yeah, dia boleh datang daripada liability ataupun dia boleh datang daripada equity ataupun boleh campur-campur. Contohnya harga asset RM10,000, RM2,000 guna duit sendiri, RM8,000 guna duit orang ketiga pun boleh juga. Ya. So bila macam ni, dia akan sentiasa imbang lah. Every time that we purchase an asset, mesti ada sumber dia. Mana datang duit nak beli asset tu. So RM10,000 mesti imbang dengan RM10,000 liability tambah dengan equity. Dia mesti akan sentiasa imbang. Okay. So equity equation yang basic ni kita boleh pecahkan lagi ya. So di bawah equity, remember that I told you, kita ada capital, kita ada profit dengan kita ada drawing. Di mana drawing tu akan mengurangkan kita punya capital. Dia akan mengurangkan capital kita. Okay. And then kat profit ni kita boleh pecahkan lagi. Dia jadi revenue tolak expenses. So dia jadi asset sama dengan liability tambah revenue tambah capital tolak expenses tolak drawing. Kan? Tapi tak cantik ada tolak-tolak kat sini kan. Saya nak pindah yang tolak semua ni pergi ke sebelah sini. Biasa tak nak tengok ada tanda negatif langsung dekat dalam equation saya. So when I transfer the negative to the other side of the equation, dia jadi positif. So dia jadi asset tambah dengan expense tambah dengan drawing mesti sentiasa imbang dengan liability yang awak ada, capital yang awak dah contribute dengan revenue yang awak dah generate. Okay. So asset plus expenses plus drawing must always equals to liabilities plus capital plus revenue. So dalam kes ni, okay, dalam dunia perakaunan, yang sebelah sini kalau nilai dia bertambah, kita panggil dia debit. Yang sebelah sini pula, kalau nilainya bertambah, kita panggil dia credit. Okay, kalau asset bertambah, debit. Expense bertambah, debit. Nilai dia bertambah. Kalau drawing kita makin bertambah, debit. Okay, kalau liability kita bertambah, lagi banyak kita hutang, kredit. Lagi banyak kita contribute dalam syarikat, kredit. Okay, lagi banyak hasil revenue kita hasilkan, kredit. So kalau aset kita bertambah, kita debit. Jadi kalau aset berkurang, kita kena kredit. Terbaliklah. Okay, kalau aset kita berkurang, kita kena kredit. Kalau aset bertambah, kita debit. Okay, the same goes here. Kalau expense bertambah, debit. Kalau expense berkurang, kita kredit. Okay, kita kurangkanlah. Ya, terbalikkan dia sahaja. Right. So, let's do some example to see whether you can understand this properly. Okay, so once you understand the accounting equation, we must show the effect of the transaction to the equation. Okay, apakah kalau saya beli ni buat ni, apa effect saya, apa effect transaction saya tu terhadap equation saya. Okay, asset bertambah ke, expense bertambah ke, capital bertambah ke, liability bertambah ke, berkurang ke, itu maksud the effect ya. So the effect will either be increase or decrease of the value of each accounting equation, accounting classification. Asset bertambah ke, asset berkurang ke, liability bertambah ke, liability berkurang ke, capital bertambah ke, capital berkurang ke, expense and revenue. So let's see the following example. Ini saya ambil soalan secara potongan soalan saya daripada Disember 2019 where the owner is Azrin. So these are the list of transaction that usually PASI will give you. Dia akan bagi awak dalam 10 ataupun 9 ataupun 8 transaction, depend on how complicated each transaction is. Okay, kerana dia akan kata kepada awak, show the effect of transaction for each of the accounting transaction. Okay, contohnya macam ni kan, November 1st, started the business with 20,000 cash. Okay, started the business with 20,000 cash. So the keyword here is started dengan cash. So the word started means adalah syarikat tu dimulakan, baru saja nak bermula dan kita yang masukkan duit kita sendiri dalam bank tu. We have injected our owner's contribution into the business in the form of cash. Okay, jadi classification kita adalah yang berkaitan lah, classification berkaitan adalah capital, ni capital dengan asset. Capital kita bertambah, ya, capital kita bertambah sebab kita telah memberi modal kita kepada syarikat. So our contribution has increased. Kemudian cash dalam business tu pun bertambah. Once we inject our 20,000 cash into the business, so that will be the asset owned by the business. So asset kita pun bertambah. So what kind of asset we're talking about? We talk about cash. Okay, yang kedua pula, purchase Fuji Xerox printer 700 by check for office use. So untuk Fuji Xerox printer dia pula ini asset kita ya, di bawah office equipment. Okay, dia bayar guna check. Okay, bayar guna bank lah maksudnya. Jadi classification yang akan terlibat adalah aset, iaitu printer sendiri, dan juga aset juga lagi satu, tetapi bank. Okay, so orang cakap ni aset. Tapi ni aset printer, ini aset bank. Okay, itu classification yang terlibat lah. Kalau kita sold goods on credit to Rachel, so the word goods here represent inventory ya, inventory. So maksudnya saya jual inventory saya kepada Rachel dalam bentuk kredit berhutang. The word credit means hutang. Mana Rachel tak bayar lagi hutang kat kita. Dia ambil barang dulu, dia bayar kemudian. So the item involved here, the classification involved here would be revenue. Sebab bila saya jual inventory, dia akan menghasilkan jualan. Remember I told you, kita jual barang kepada customer, revenue bertambah. Okay. Okay, and then asset kita pun akan bertambah, iaitu debtor kita lah. Bila Rachel berhutang dengan kita, asset kita bertambah, tapi dalam item debtors. Okay, kalau bank in cash pula, mana saya ada cash kat tangan saya nak masuk dalam bank. So asset bertambah, iaitu bank saya bertambah, asset kita berkurang, iaitu cash kita berkurang. Okay. Kemudian paid rental of premises amounting to 400 by cash. So the keyword here is rental, and then another keyword here is cash. So rental ni bila kata paid rental, sah-sah dia adalah expenses kita bertambah. Kemudian cash kita berkurang sebab saya bayar guna cash. Okay, Azrin took 800 from bank and 200 goods for personal use. So Azrin is the owner. So bila dia ambil balik duit daripada bank dan inventory daripada gudang, bermaksud dia tengah buat drawing. Okay. Tapi dia punya classification dia cuma nak asset, liability, capital, expenses dengan revenue saja. So bila ada drawing, kita akan assume drawing mengurangkan kita punya order equity atau mengurangkan capital kita. Okay, so asset terlibat sebab ambil tunai 800. Expense ya, bila kita ambil goods sahaja, expense kita berkurang. Macam bila kita macam bila ada purchase return lah, samalah konsep dia. Bila owner ambil balik dia punya inventory, maknanya barang dalam gudang dia semakin berkurang, so nilai purchase dia semakin berkurang lah. Okay, so expense kita berkurang, iaitu purchase kita berkurang. Kemudian owner equity kita pun berkurang sebab ada drawing. Okay. Kemudian sales return by Rachel pula. So sales return, tadi sales return ni. So sales return mengurangkan jualan. Dia mengurangkan jualan. So revenue ya. The classification will be affected will be revenue in terms of sales return, asset dengan iaitu debtors. Maknanya sebelum dia berhutang kita 500. Lepas dia dah pulangkan barang, hutang dia pada kita cuma tinggal RM300 sahaja. Okay, the business bought a motor vehicle for 4,500 cash. So item classification terlibat adalah motor vehicle dengan cash. So asset kita bertambah, vehicle, asset kita berkurang, cash. Kemudian paid utility bills, wages of 100 and 500 cash respectively. So saya bayar bill, expense saya bertambah, cash saya berkurang dalam bentuk asset. Okay, so when you want to answer in your final exam later on, you need to know the effect of it. Okay, so for example tengok ni tadi kita cakap apa tadi, as capital dengan asset kan. So bila asset kita bertambah sebab cash makin bertambah, contribution pun bertambah sebab owner yang masukkan duit tu. So we're going to see that the equation remains balance. Sama je. Mana aset bertambah 20,000, capital bertambah 20,000, so equation kita imbang. Contoh nombor 3 pula, okay, apa yang bertambah sini, printer kita bertambah lah. Apa yang berkurang sini, bank kita sebab kita bayar guna bank kan. So aset bertambah 700, bank berkurang 700, so the equation would remain balance. Ini pula koran number 13 yang terlibat adalah revenue dengan asset. Revenue dengan asset. Okay, jualan kita bertambah RM500. Debtors kita pun bertambah sebanyak RM500. So the equation would remain balanced. So dalam jawapan awak nanti, you have to present your answer like this ya. Kena ada dalam 5 kolom macam ni. So 2 kolom yang besar ni adalah effect kita. 2 kolom terakhir adalah journal entry. Nanti kita buat journal entry. Kita buat effect dulu. Okay, so untuk effect kita, macam ni ya. Capital bertambah, asset bertambah. Capital bertambah, asset bertambah. Okay, kalau November 3rd pula, ini asset bertambah, printer bertambah, bank berkurang. Ya, ni nampak macam tak imbang kan? Sebenarnya diimbang ya. Sebab asset is on the other side of the equation, capital is on the other side of equation. So kalau dua-duanya bertambah, diimbang lah. Macam ni diimbang lah. Asset bertambah, asset berkurang. Yang ni pun sama, revenue bertambah, asset pun bertambah. Ya, asset tu dekat equation yang sebelah sini lah, revenue tu dekat equation sebelah sini. So the equation would still remain the same. Okay. Okay, kalau kita masukkan dalam table jawapan yang pasien nak, ya, aset bertambah, aset pun berkurang. Ya, expense bertambah, bertambah, aset berkurang. So untuk yang ni pula semuanya berkurang ya, aset dia berkurang, expense dia berkurang, owner equity dia pun berkurang. Tapi kita dah lihat tadi, the equation would still remain balance. Ya. Still remain balance. Okay, untuk ni pula sales return tadi tu, saya cakap revenue berkurang kan, patut asset berkurang kan. Patut asset berkurang, revenue pun berkurang, equation remain balance. Okay, November 26 pula, asset dia bertambah, sebab dia beli motor vehicle, guna cash dia berkurang lah. So the equation remain balance. Sama macam kalau utility base ni pun, saya bayar utility base 100, saya bayar gaji 500, jadi duit saya berkurang 600, the equation would still remains balance. Okay, jadi bila masukkan jawapan dalam pasir nanti, revenue berkurang, asset berkurang, asset bertambah, expense bertambah, cash berkurang. Okay. Alright. So kita tengok satu lagi example, iaitu pada Jun 2019, ownernya adalah Suzana. Okay. So the first transaction says started business with cash in bank account which amounted to 40,000. So keyword kita adalah started the business menggunakan cash in bank. Okay, jadi capital classification yang kita akan gunakan adalah capital dengan asset. Asset tu secara spesifiknya bank lah. Okay. Yang nombor 2 pula, dia purchase komputer menggunakan cek. Okay. Jadi aset kita bertambah, aset kita pun berkurang. Lepas tu dia kata so goods on credit. So kita buat jualan secara hutang kepada Ramona. So Ramona ni kita punya accounts receivable ataupun debtors. So revenue kita bertambah, aset kita pun bertambah. Okay, the next one is the business brought in personal. So bila dia ada keyword personal kat sini, motor vehicle ni bermaksud capital lah, capital contribution daripada owner. Jadi aset kita bertambah, motor vehicle, kemudian capital contribution kita pun bertambah. Ya, owner equity pun akan bertambah lah. Okay, seterusnya dia kata bayar rental expense menggunakan tunai, cash. Okay, so it means that expense kita bertambah, asset kita berkurang. Okay. Kemudian Susanna took 300 from banks. Dia ambil duit. Kemudian dia ambil goods untuk kegunaan sendiri, drawing. See the word personal use, so please assume it to be drawing. Dan asset bank, asset berkurang, expense kita berkurang sebab dia ambil goods. Kemudian owner equity pun berkurang sebab dia buat drawing. Okay, sales return by Ramona which amounts to 100 ya. So Ramona tadi kita punya accounts payable, account receivable kan. So debtors kita berkurang, asset. Kemudian revenue kita berkurang sebab Ramona buat pulangan belian, pulangan jualan. And then bank in cash 3,000. So cash kita bertambah, bank kita bertambah, cash kita berkurang, asset and assets. Okay. So when you want to do the answer, okay, macam ni lah. Okay, asset, capital, kena guna perkataan owners. Owners kena guna perkataan owners equity ataupun capital, saya terima dua-dua. Asset, tapi dia di bawah column in increase. Yang May 6 ni pula asset dia bertambah, asset ni berkurang. So asset bertambah dekat increase, asset decrease. Yang tadi ni pula revenue bertambah, asset pun bertambah. So revenue dengan asset di bawah column in increase. Kalau macam ni pula motor vehicle bertambah, owner equity berkurang kan. So owner equity bertambah lah sebab dia menambahkan contribution dia dalam business. So asset bertambah di bawah column increase, owner equity pun di bawah column increase. Okay, 16 hari bulan dia bayar rent, so expense bertambah menggunakan tunai. So asset kita berkurang. Okay, Mei 20 dia buat ambilan lah, dia buat drawing. Dia jadi asset berkurang sebab tunai. Kemudian sebab bank, expense pun berkurang sebab dia ambil goods. Kemudian owner equity pun berkurang sebab dia buat drawing. 23 hari bulan revenue bertambah, revenue berkurang sebab dia buat sales return. Asset dia pun berkurang sebab account receivable kita berkurang, debtors kita berkurang. Last sekali asset bertambah sebab bank in cash, cash kita berkurang sebab kita bawa core cash masuk dalam bank. So that will be the answer. Okay, so that's the end of accounting classification and accounting equation. I want you to do the rest of the past year's question, and then we're going to discuss this next week.